Hello and welcome back to Classic Helmets, here from rather beautiful Northern Ireland. So in today's video I'm going to show you how to strip this rather, well, it would have been a collectible helmet had it not been damaged. I will show the camera there is a horrible mark just here, and that's why the front vent is damaged and missing. I think this has probably been dropped because this chip here, it really has gone right through to the shell. So this helmet, unfortunately, despite being quite a collectible Freddie Spencer Rothman's Honda replica, really is only worth spare parts now. But there are some very good spare parts on this. The visor, the side pods, the two vents, the internal liners, which I think are virtually brand new, and the rubber trim which goes around the base. There's some very good parts here to be had. So let me quickly show you what tools I'm going to be using, and I'll also show you one that I've prepared earlier. Firstly, it's just a very small toolkit with small size T, P, and just basically small specialist tools. There are a couple of very minute little screws inside these vents here, and I will need this toolkit to help me get them out. A genuine Arai tool, which you normally get with the RX-7, just to help me take off the initial parts of the vents. Small but quite thick-ended flathead screwdriver. This will help me kind of get the neck roll out. It is a little bit fiddly. It does require this, and also possibly a small knife just to help me get it out easily. For the side pods, when I take them off, I'll put them inside this genuine packaging. This will help me when I put it on eBay, just to make it look a bit nicer and give it some protection if I do post it to somebody. So it looks a little bit like this. So let me quickly show you what I hope the end result to be. Here is a Arai Chaser helmet that I stripped earlier for parts. This is I think it's called a Chaser Eagle Red. You've got the eagle on both sides. I bought this for about £30, thinking it was all fine to trade on. When I received it, one of the side pods, I think it was the left-hand side, the lug had split, and I didn't have anything spare, and I couldn't find anything spare on the internet. And nowadays, it's really hard to come across the sort of tinted side pods, which I have used in the past to kind of help me get away with things that are damaged. So I just thought, for what it's worth, which wasn't too much anyway, strip the parts off. This actually is the model before this helmet here. So similar parts on the rear and the top vents. The front vent was in good condition. I took that off, as well as the EPS liner, which is this part, this black part here. Visor was fine. The white base plates underneath the side pods were also fine, as was the rubber trim. I also took off straps because they were fine. Also, I took off on the Chaser model, the crown liner was fixed, unlike the Chaser V where you can take it out, clean it and replace it. Some people still ask me for these, and that's this part here. You can just rip it off. Still in good condition actually. Okay, so without further delays, I will get a chest camera on, and that will give you a kind of point of view, bird's eye, showing as to how I take some of these parts off. Okay, so you now join me in chest camera mode, where I can show you the first step of how to strip this rather lovely but sadly spare parts helmet only for spare parts. First things first is the visor. Pull the visor up, you will see one grey tab and two grey tab on the sides. We flick those up and they should make a sort of mechanical clicking sound, rather like that. And we can peel that visor back off, and that's the visor off. This is a genuine Arai dark smoke tear off one. These are still worth about £30 to £40 used. I think these still retail about £55–60, so that's good to keep hold of. So the next item I want to strip off are the side pods. Now I'm going to need my Arai tool for this, which is here. What I want to do first is I want to flick back the grey tab so it's out the way. And I'm not sure if the camera can pick this up. There's some small red tabs. And basically I want to push that tab back and it'll make a bit of a click noise. And that will release the side pod from the base plate. You hear that click? And that's off. And as we can see, minus a bit of fly gunk, that side pod is in very good condition. There is a little tiny crack, but it's still perfectly usable really. So we'll keep hold of that first side pod. That means I can get my little flathead screwdriver and just take these off. I like having the spare plastic screws off these because over time you can over tighten them, or even sometimes they will just perish, and they can sometimes strip and sort of nick off halfway through. So I like having a bag of these spare for Arai helmets. Yep, that's good condition. This has actually been serviced recently because I can feel a little bit of light grease on my fingers. So when the chap who I bought it off said that it was serviced at the TT a couple of years ago, that would ring true, and the black sort of O-rings are intact as well. So that's another good spare part to keep hold of. And basically copy and paste on the other side. So I think the next step I'd like to do is to pull out the interior cheek pad and crown liner. Quite an easy job. It'll take me about 20 seconds. In fact, let's try and time it, shall we? I'll take the top liner off first and then the cheek pads afterwards. And I reckon I can do that in about 20-25 seconds. So, if you'd like to start the timer, please. Pull the poppers out from the crown liner. 1 times crown liner. Pull the little black tab flaps out of the cheek pads. And we can just pull those straight through. 1 cheek pad. And 2 cheek pads. Not bad, but I reckon I could do better. 20 seconds is my target next time. Done. So just to summarise so far, we've taken the dark smoke visor off, the side pods and the base plates with the screws on both sides, and we have taken out the crown liner and the cheek pads. I'm gonna do the neck roll I think later because that's quite fiddly. What I would like to do next is the top front vent and the rear vent. So this one, it's a little bit fiddlier. What I'm going to do first is there is some adhesive tape just down these kind of sidelines, if you imagine sort of underneath the outline. So I'm just going to get my little Arai tool, have a little fish in here with the vent pulled back, because obviously if I do it there I can't do it. So with the vent pulled back, I'm just going to see if I can pop that through there. I wonder if this is replaced recently because it's very stiff on. Usually this would be a lot easier to come off. Let me just have a little look at this quickly for a second. Yeah, okay, there we go. So we've got a bit of leverage here now. What I'm doing here is I'm just trying to... Oh, there we go. So that first side has come off. Yeah, that came straight off. These vents will obviously all get cleaned up before I use them again on a helmet, but it's working very well. And now for the rear, same step again really. I want to just file around the outside of this. And there should be some adhesive. That has come off on that bit. This bit here is quite delicate, so we need to be a little bit careful here. I don't want to break these little edge bits here. It's like a fish hook really. If you imagine that, you're kind of trying to skip it through. There we are. And that is a rear duct vent off the Chaser V. You can see there's a little hole just here, and you can see that's where the screw is here. A little tiny screw just there. I will take the screw out. I mean, it's not really necessary, if I'm honest. When you replace these in future, you just put tape along these straight bits here, and it will go down, and that bit won't move. So again, that's a very useful spare part to have here. I'm guessing something like that should do the trick. Just pop that in the corner there, so it doesn't get lost. Now, we are pretty close to having the helmet stripped for as many parts as I really need or want. I'm going to do the rubber trim, the base trim next. So we've already got that pulled out slightly. Just going to snip off that last bit there. And we may be able to just pull it round. This is coming off nicely. Easy. These rubber trim vents, of which I do have quite a few in a bag here, and one here, they are still worth, depending on which helmet model, I'd say between 30 to 55 or even £60. A lot of the big helmet restorers over in Asia, they look for helmets to strip for parts and use these trims again. You used to be able to buy the front trim piece for like Condors and older Arai models back in the day. And even when they crop up on eBay, they still go for about £25, £30 just the front bits alone. And there we are. We have a whole Arai Chaser V. Okay, there's a little bit of a snag there. That won't cause any problems for anybody. Flip that around and that'll go in my parts box for now. Now the next bit I want to do, is get out this black EPS liner here. I do have a bag of spares of those just here. These are quite useful. I have done a couple in the past. You can use a flathead screwdriver or the Arai tool. There is quite a big adhesive strip if you imagine just here. So I want to go fishing first and just see where that is. Sometimes these can snap a little bit because it's essentially a polystyrene bit of block foam. Oh, that sounded very positive. Let's have a look at that. Oh, there we go. You see, now why couldn't Arai, when they supposedly serviced it, and then didn't repair this, just do that? Because then you get the new vent on this way and put the screws at the back, and then put this back in with new tape. So again, that is a very good part to keep hold of. Now the last bit I want to get hold of, in terms of parts to keep, is this neck trim. In fact, here's one that I did earlier. In fact, there's several I did earlier. So that one was off the Chaser up here. Very clean to get out. But again, very fiddly. There's lots of different adhesive backings on the inside here. So again, I'm just going to sort of go fishing a bit first. See if I can move anything out of the way slightly. This may be a case of not being successful, but we'll give it a go. Oh, well, that worked. Right, that's what I want. So I've already got the polystyrene backing from the helmet out. All I have to do basically is carefully peel back. By the way, not all Arais are like this. Some Arais are much tougher to strip than others. Well, there we go. And that's it. Another Arai Chaser V neck roll complete. That goes straight in the parts box. I could take the straps off. If I'm honest, they are easier with models that have a detachable strap cover. These ones are sewn on a little bit. Edit, I did take apart the straps after recording. And there we are. That is one complete Arai helmet stripped of any parts that are useful and perfectly fine to use again for the future. So I have laid out on the table the parts that we have stripped. I will quickly run through what they are and what they are potentially worth today. So we'll start off with the visor. This is a genuine Arai sort of race visor because it has the tear-off pins on the front. It's also got the SAI markings, daytime use, and the Arai markings in the corner. It really is mint condition. There's no scratches or marks on that. That will clean up really well. I reckon that's probably worth about £35 used in mint condition. We have the side pods. These are mint condition. There's a little bit of a crack there, but that doesn't affect how it's used or the performance. Really hard to get hold of these days. I reckon these are still worth about £30 to £35 again, used. The base plates, I mean, used a couple of quid, not worth too much really. The rear duct vent, I reckon this is still about 15, maybe £20 used. Mint condition, everything working fine, no cracks or marks. The front diffuser vent, mint condition, all working perfectly fine. That again, between I'd say £8 to £10. The neck roll, these don't come up on eBay that often, only for the RX-7s, because the RX-7s you can physically remove and put them back in, kind of in a clicking motion. This one you have to be a bit fiddly with. I reckon that's probably about £30 to £35 used. The little neck rubber trim, which we took off that part of the helmet there all the way around. Again, these are so hard to find on eBay or any websites these days. About £40, I reckon. Front EPS, that came off really easily and it's excellent condition. I'd be asking about 30 quid for this, easily. And then finally the cheek and the crown liners. Cheek pads, excellent condition. Showing no real signs of wear. I can get them cleaned up. They are 25mm. The lugs at the front where they slip through are working perfectly fine. And the sock covers aren't stretched. These are probably worth about £20, £25. The crown liner, that has definitely been replaced recently, partly because the red writing shows no sweat, no marks. The poppers are excellent. I mean, this could be worth about £35 maybe. So just to let you in on a bit of a secret as well, I paid £50 for this helmet as it was. It's worth noting that if this helmet was in mint condition with a box, bag, manuals and looking all good, it would be worth £350. And then I knew the front vent would need replacing. I had that in stock. It was only when I removed some red colour matching tape that I noticed that horrible gouge, which made me think this has been dropped or crashed. I'm going to say dropped because there's no other marks around here. But that would explain why the chin vent was also was also not there basically, just taped back on badly. And that made me realise I need to sell this one as a spares with good parts. We have some amazing parts here. I'm very pleased with the outcome. Well, there we go. A very collectible, but sadly damaged, Freddie Spencer Arai Chaser V stripped for parts, and that's worked out really well. There are some brilliant parts here I can use. Some good parts I can trade out. I have a few contacts who do helmet painting and customizing who always look for these little parts off me, so it's good that I can offer these potentially to my contacts. Well, thank you very much for tuning into Classic Helmets. If you'd like to see more content featuring some classic, obscure and very collectible Arai and Shoei helmets, please subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, that would be fantastic. Please feel free to comment if you have any questions or any thoughts or any comments in general. Please also consider giving the video a share. So from Northern Ireland, thank you very much. You've been watching Classic Helmets. Goodbye.